Orchard and Egyptian Railroad was founded in July of 1971. The railroad started off operating steam-powered tourist trains alongside the Illinois Central Gulf freight operations on May 29, 1973, which operated until October of 1978. The main power for these duties was 242 No. 5. This H.K. Porter 242 from 1942 was originally built as a saddle tank engine and was later converted to a tender engine for tourist service. It is seen here sitting outside the Crab Orchard and Egyptian shops in Marion, Illinois on July 11, 1980. Inside the CO&E's engine house in Marion, we see the reason why this railroad was put on the map in the railfan community in later years. 1939 Canadian-built Consolidation No. 17 became the last steam locomotive in common carrier service in America by the 1980s. The 17 moves out of the engine house to take on coal and begin its duties for the day. With a bucket that barely reaches the top and some assistance from the firemen, the 17's tender is filled with coal. Number 17 was built for the Reverbal and Saguenay Railroad in Canada and was delivered to the railroad in 1940. The locomotive has the distinction of being the last Canadian-built 280. The 17 was brought to the U.S. after being purchased by Chicago area railfan John Filson in 1971. After being sold to the Crab Orchard and Egyptian in 1975, the engine was restored to operation in 1979, replacing the smaller number 5 in freight service. 1 year after entering service, the engine is still looking good as it leaves the engine house in Marion. The 17 returns to Marion with a single Missouri Pacific covered hopper. No need for special booths for weed abatement on this railroad. Just carry the barrel of weed chemicals along with you on the tender and spray the tracks as you're going. The number 17 rolls back into Marion with its covered hopper. 17 arrives back into Marion, where it will drop the covered hopper and begin switching out the piggyback ramp. Until the end of local piggyback ramps due to deregulation, TOFC traffic was the Crab Orchard and Egyptian's main business. Number 4 is seen in the distance as the 17 continues with its switching in Marion. In 1984, the engine would be sold to the St. Louis and Iron Mountain Railroad, where it would operate until 1999. The 17 switches the covered hopper from earlier and spots it at the other end of the TOFC flats. The 17 moves forward to add the hopper to the other end of the TOFC flats. Weed abatement continues for the 17 as it runs light. Steam operations would come to an end on the Crab Orchard and Egyptian in 1986 after the 17 suffered a dry pipe failure. In 1987, the number 17 was sold to the Boone and Scenic Valley Railroad in Boone, Iowa. The plan was to repair and restore the engine to operation. However, those never materialized and the engine was put on display near the depot in Boone. With the Boone and Scenic Valley no longer seeing the locomotive as an asset, it was sold to the local Rotary Club and moved to the outskirts of town in July of 2020, where today the last steam locomotive in America to operate in common carrier freight service sits on display repainted along with a coach. An interesting end for the locomotive that brought down the curtain for steam in common carrier freight service in the United States.